Mount Rushmore, one of the great American eyesores. This abomination of a structure may be better suited as a pile of rubble underneath the parking lot to the world's stinkiest dump. However, today it's not a sculpture nor parking lot. Today, it's a metaphor for the most important and influential figures in hardcore punk. I'm Dan Frampton, and this is my hardcore Mount Rushmore. Now first up, instead of Teddy Roosevelt, I think we're going to be carving HR from Bad Brains into the mountain. Bad Brains were formed in like 1977 in DC, and they're like widely credited as being like the creators of hardcore. They kind of like sped up what Ramones did before them, and they kind of were like the natural progression to what punk rock would just become. So for all that, boom, Rushmore. And next up we're gonna have to carve Ian Mackay into where George Washington once sat. Now, Ian Mckay is another DC boy with a DC band doing DC things, and he was the frontman to this legendary band. I don't know if you heard of them. They were called Minor Threat. Very influential to this day with the way people look, the way people present themselves. They kind of like brought the message of straight edge to the scene for the first time. His undying commitment to DIY and straight edge is legendary, is historic, and for all those reasons, Mount Rushmore. Okay, that's all fine and dandy, but where did the word hardcore come from in the context of punk rock? And that came from the record Hardcore 81, put out by DOA from this guy, Joey Shithead, who's actually like now a politician, which is kind of crazy to think. But Joey Shithead was a guy in Vancouver, BC, had this band that all the other bands from America came up and played with if they wanted to play the Great White North, you know? So because of all that, definitely Mount Rushmore, without a doubt. Now the fourth pick for the Mount Rushmore is kind of the wild card. It's a little bit of the hot take pick. Now, everybody's going to have a different fourth pick, I think, because these first three, I think, are pretty much undisputed. Some might throw in Henry Rollins, but that's not going to be on my Mount Rushmore. Not today, not now, not ever. But the number 4 is going to be different depending on which side of the core you kind of land on. And for me, I think it's going to be a little bit controversial because he kind of turned his back on the hardcore scene, and the hardcore scene kind of turned his back on him. But because of how creative he is, and because of how great of a frontman he is, and because of how much influence he had, and all the historic, legendary stories about him and his band, all of that is going to put Dennis Lyxzén, the frontman of Refused, onto my Mount Rushmore. And here he is looking like the Swedish hardcore version of Paul McCartney from the 60s. Just a beautiful, wholesome look. So that's my Mount Rushmore. What's yours? Thank you so much for watching. Leave a like on it if you like it. Dislike it if you disliked it. Tell a friend. Share it on Twitter. Post it in your work group chat, for Christ's sake. Until next time, here's more videos to hold you over.